snagging Zeke's socks and t-shirts out of his laundry basket to wear, though Zeke drew the line at letting his little brother steal his underwear. It was annoying occasionally, having a pint-sized shadow of himself, but mostly it felt good to be looked up to. It made Zeke feel powerful, important, like the president, or Genghis Khan. "But how do I harness the sun?" Nate had wanted to know. "That's the easy part. We just wrap you up in aluminum foil and stick you in the driveway for a few hours until you absorb an adequate amount of solar radiation." Nate said he could handle a few hours of radiation easy. So far, it had been 3 minutes. "Now do I have superpowers?" he whined. Zeke checked his watch. A $10 digital from Walmart with a plastic band that was already breaking, and squinted at his brother. Nate actually looked like a robot from one of those bad black and white sci-fi movies. The kind where the rockets are made out of toilet paper tubes and the planets are painted basketballs suspended on strings. Zeke's dad loved those movies, forcing his family to sit and watch them every Friday night. When he was home, that is. He said they were campy. Campy, Zeke decided, was just another word for dumb. Still, he figured his brother would have looked perfectly at home on the set of Invasion of the Killer Automatrons from Zelnar 7, their father's personal favorite. "We've barely started." "But I have to pee," Nate said, listing back and forth from one foot to the other like an unsteady canoe. He couldn't bend his knees or cross his legs. 5 layers of aluminum foil had transformed him into the Tin Man. If I only had a heart, Zeke thought, though he knew his brother wasn't lacking in that department. Zeke reached out and touched Nate's shiny, crinkly forehead, barely warm. Did foil absorb heat or reflect it? He probably should have researched this. He stood close to the ear holes so that his 7-year-old brother could hear. "You ever seen Captain America complain he has to take a leak?" Nate admitted that he hadn't. Exactly. Superheroes can hold it indefinitely. It's one of their powers. Except Aquaman. He just goes in the ocean. At least, that's what Zeke would do, though, admittedly, he'd never even seen the ocean. Not firsthand. He heard a car approaching and spied the mailman coming up the road. Normally, someone passing by might see a kid wrapped in aluminum foil standing in the driveway and think, why is there a kid all wrapped up in aluminum foil standing in that driveway? But Frank Rawls had been delivering mail to 4882 Gray Fox Lane for 14 years, which meant he should surely be used to such things by now. Kids hanging from the gutters, bonfires in the yard, garter snakes in the mailbox. Zeke waved amiably. Frank Rawls shook his head and moved on to the next house. "How much longer?" Nate pleaded. Zeke didn't even bother to look at his watch again. "At least another 20 minutes. Then we'll take your temperature." That, Zeke had explained, was how you could tell if the superpowers were budding. In truth, he just wanted to see how long Nate could take it. He'd read somewhere that enough heat can make your brain cook in your skull like pulled pork in a crock pot. Not that he wanted to fry his brother's brains. He didn't even want Nate to pass out or anything terrible like that. But it was summer. Zeke was bored. And a little brain warming in the name of scientific experimentation never hurt anyone. Probably. "I'm going to get the mail," Zeke said, leaving his brother in the middle of the driveway, reflecting a miniature landscape of the neighborhood in his silver suit. The mailbox squeaked open. Bill, credit card offer, coupons for takeout, his sister's latest edition of Elle. He'd have to think of something clever to do with that. A flyer advertising roof repair, a brochure for the local community college also addressed to his sister, another bill, and a letter in a plain-looking envelope addressed to the parents of Zeke Stahls.